Do-do-do. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Well, I thought it was going to be a quiet news day, but it's not looking like that now. Have you all seen the news? According to the New York Times, federal agents have raided the office of Trump lawyer Michael Cohen. Oh. What do you think of that? Let me give you my opinion. At this point, and this is just my opinion as a citizen of the country, at this point, and at no point before this, but at this point, President Trump has my full support to fire everybody. He can fire people who just have names that sound like these assholes now. He can fire Sessions, he can fire Rosenstein, he can fire all of them now. He has my full support. Fire everybody you need to do. And I'm totally on board. And by the way, I don't want to know, I don't care what the charges are. I don't care what they find at President Trump's personal lawyer's place. Period. Game over. Now, I don't know if the president will fire anybody, but now it's a free pass. It's a free punch. You know, I'm completely on board with the firing now. Fire them all. And I wouldn't have said any of that literally 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago, I would have said firing these guys would be the worst thing that ever happened. It would be the dumbest idea. And now, fire them all. I'm on board. So I would love to see a poll. Give me a flash opinion. In your opinion, can President just fire everybody now? Does anybody disagree with that at this point? Is there anybody thinks that it would be prudent for him not to fire them at this point? This is the most agreement I've ever seen on any question I've ever asked on Periscope. Is there even one person who thinks these people need to keep their jobs? All right, well, if you missed the first minute, we're talking about the New York Times reporting that the federal agents have raided the office of Trump lawyer Michael Cohen, which gives them access to all of the private communications that relate to Stormy Daniels and the president and the hush payments and whatever else they might find in the personal communications. That is a line. You think Syria crossed the line? Syria did not cross a line. Okay, they crossed the line too. But this is a frickin' line. All right, as a citizen, I am fully on board, Mr. President. Time to get rid of all of them. All of them. I'd get rid of every frickin' person who even touched this decision. You know, and I'd do it tomorrow. I don't care if there's empty seats. I don't care if it causes a riot in the street. I don't care if it puts a stain on his presidency. I don't care anything. This is the biggest firing offense I've ever seen. Right? I don't even care if they followed all the rules. There's one person here who says he should let it play out. You know, there's a bigger issue here. He could let it play out because that, you know, maybe that's the best legal strategy. But there's sort of a bigger issue here. This crosses a line that is so striking to me that it just goes to overthrow of the presidency kind of situation. But beyond that, I mean, that's just one of the lines. So one of the lines they're crossing is they're just interfering with the people at this point. All right. The frickin' people elected this president. We did not elect a bunch of, bureaucrats to make his job impossible. That's not good for me. All right. I'm personally not better off with any of the stuff that's happening with Trump's lawyer. Cross the line. You've crossed the line. Wow. Did I see the latest Q post? No, and I don't care about it. They took his phone, computer, everything. Yeah, I'd close him down. It may be too late at this point to ever get any of that stuff back. It might just be that at this point it's just going to be what it's going to be, because once they've seized him, I don't know if you could ever get him back. You could just keep firing people until nobody wants to touch it anymore. What would happen next if he fired them all? Well, let's play that through. Let's say President Trump just fires, I don't know how deep you'd have to fire, but seems like there's a lot of firing that needs to be done. At least Mueller. I think Mueller's got to go now. Was it Mueller? Actually, they said the FBI, but does that mean it was Mueller? I get a little confused about who does what over there. But whoever sent the FBI after Trump's personal lawyer over the Stormy Daniels stuff, oh my God, way over the line. So somebody said, what would happen if you were to fire the special counsel now? Here's my answer. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. You cross the line, you cross the line. That's the whole point of a line, right? The whole point of a line is that if you cross that line, I don't care anymore. That the implications are the implications, and if it causes other problems, bring them on. It wasn't our decision. Cross the line. All right. Wow. My head is just shaking over this. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I can't remember the last time I was so offended by something the government did, and the government does a lot to offend me. It's not as if we don't have a lot of choices for things to be offended by, but holy cow. Rosenstein approved it. Yeah, and it might be that everybody was just doing their job and that they had to follow the evidence, and they can't ignore, if there are any potential laws and the trail seems to point to them, they can't ignore it. And so I say, fire them anyway. I don't care. Fire them all. You have my full support, Mr. President. I don't care what the consequences are. Once they go after his personal life and his personal lawyer in a political context, shut him down. All right. Yeah, and you're seeing the subdued version of me. All right. I'm literally doing everything I can not to show the full extent of my anger right now, because I'm going to be mad at the president if we get to the end of today and any of those people still have jobs. Like, I'm going to start getting mad at him for not firing him if it doesn't happen right away. Wow. Let me see what the various news organizations, let's see how they're covering it. So let's look at Fox News. Trump bashes the FBI raid, and it talks about the president calling it disgraceful. And then over on CNN, I think the news is so new that they're both going to be covering it the same, so there won't be much opinion in it yet. And there's Chris Cillizza, who I believe, Chris Cillizza over at CNN. I don't know if he had time to write an actual article, so I believe he's just still masturbating to it. He's just masturbating to the news at this point because this has got to be the happiest day of his life. Oh my God. So the records that I'm looking at CNN, Trump on whether he'll fire. So this is from 6 minutes ago, and it's titled "Trump on whether he'll fire Mueller." Quote, "We'll see what happens." And he says, "Why don't you just fire Mueller?" Somebody asked. He says, "Well, I think it's a disgrace what's going on. We'll see what happens." A disgrace. And Trump has also called it, he's framing it as an attack on our country. That's how I see it. That's how I see it, as an attack on the country. And just for all the Dales, I got to give you a preemptive Dale. Okay? Are you ready for a preemptive Dale? Here it is. What was yours, Scott? Why didn't you say the same thing when President Clinton was being impeached for a Monica Lewinsky thing? Why didn't you say the same thing then? Dale, I will slap that beard right off you. I did say the same thing then. I didn't like it when President Clinton's personal life became a public problem, and I don't like it now. I feel exactly the same. So before anybody accuses me of being hypocritical on this, same rules. If this were the Democrats, if this were Hillary Clinton going through the same situation, same reaction. All right? This is more about the country. This isn't so much about the politicians anymore. All right? This is no longer about Democrat and Republican. This is the Republic. All right? This is the world you want to live in. This is us getting to decide, is this the world that we can tolerate? Can you tolerate this environment? I can't. I can't tolerate it. So I'm all up for the firing. Bring it on. And I'll say again, as clearly as possible, if the president doesn't do some firing because of this, I'm going to be real disappointed. And when you ask me, what do I think of the ramifications? What about the fallout from the firing? What about all the bad things, the marches in the street? What about the protests? What about the violence that would certainly happen? Probably there would be protests. Probably people get hurt. Here's my answer. Don't care. Don't care. The line has been crossed. All right? Now let's just bring on that stuff. Let's get it over with. Let's bring those, let's hurry it up. Let's have the protests. Bring them on. Bring on the protests. Bring on the people who say he's a dictator. He's firing people who are just investigating the law. Bring it on. Bring it all on. Bring it all on. It's time to just get all this bullshit cleared away. It's time. Now, we are still waiting for people who actually know what they're talking about to weigh in. And that usually means somebody like Dershowitz. I cannot wait to hear Alan Dershowitz talk about this. Because I don't know what Dershowitz is going to say, and this might be the first time that he and I disagree. I don't know that, but it might be. Because I suspect that Dershowitz would give, or would speak in terms of the law and what's the best legal strategy, that sort of thing. But I'm not really talking on that level. I no longer care about the fucking law. Sorry. I no longer care about the law. That's not what this is about anymore. This is not about the law. This is about something completely different. What if he does not fire anyone? Well, I'm not even sure this will hurt him for re-election. Because, if these guys really dig into this Stormy stuff, and they use the stuff they found from his personal lawyer to get at him, I'm going to register to vote. Man, that's how angry I would be. Do you know how many people I could get to vote if I tried to? It would be a lot. And this is one of those issues that should cross the aisle at least a little bit, because this is the same standard you'd want to see with a politician on either side. You shouldn't care about what team they're on at this point. You will invoke privilege. I don't know how that works. All right. So I'm not sure I have much else to say about that. Dershowitz is on Hannity tonight. And Hannity says Dershowitz is apoplectic. Is that true? Well, it's probably true because the way you said it made it sound like you just saw it. So it probably is true. All right. I'm clearing my calendar because I'm going to watch Dershowitz, his head explode on live TV. And if he disagrees with me on this, it'll be the first time I've disagreed with him. Now, it might be that there's just a terrible legal peril if he fires them, and maybe Dershowitz, just being a good, lawyer, would say, well, even though you might want to, don't do it. But I'm not on that team. I'm on the team of, I don't care what the consequence is. Time to fire. Time to shut it down. DNC is trying to martyr Mueller. Bring it on. Yeah, so here's the important thing. All of the what ifs, if he fires him, this repercussion, that repercussion, this repercussion. Bring on the repercussions. I'm all about the repercussions now. Don't want anybody to get hurt, but let's just bring on the repercussions now. In fact, I think that will be my new hashtag. It's like, the repercussions is something you're supposed to try to avoid. Oh, I don't want any repercussions. Not anymore. I am pro repercussions. Bring them on. Repercussion our asses as hard as you want. I'll take those repercussions with a smile. All right. Looking at all your comments, at this point, I think all of you are just sharing the emotion. That's sort of what we're doing here, right? Because there's not much in terms of information being exchanged. Nobody's learning everything, but we're having this weirdly cathartic, shared, immediate experience that is kind of unique, isn't it? I mean, I could, at least what I feel is I feel that most of you are having the same reaction I'm having, and that it feels good for you to see the same reaction coming out of me. There's something, just something necessary about that. It's just something that we all needed at the same time. Repercussions won't be good for anyone, somebody says. Fine. Bring them on. I'm not sure exactly who needs to get fired other than Mueller. So I think it has to start there. Then the question is, is Rosenstein or Stein? I never get those right. Is he part of that? Is Jeff Sessions part of that? We'll see. So, by the way, I don't think we need to, march to the streets or anything about this. What is Cernovich saying? Am I crying? No. I'm whatever is the opposite of that. They they banned knives in London. I'll tell you, you want to be so lucky that you're the pro-gun president at a time when London has to ban knives because there are so many knife attacks. I mean, you can't replace just being in the right place at the right time, I'll tell you. All right, so I've never seen so much agreement on a point, which is that this has gone too far. And I think I'm going to watch a little news coverage. You'll probably do the same. And stay tuned for more tonight. Bye for now.